Okay, so we're recording, and I'm going to share my desktop. Okay, so you guys should see, and you guys can turn your cameras off if you want, or I'm going to actually just. Okay, so here we are. So I'm in Dreamweaver. Does this help a little bit to see it this way? Is the window too small? One of those, like I say, stupid human tricks is taking a list and turning it into navigation. So I'm just going to make a bunch of list items here. And we'll call it, let's see, what are we going to do? We'll do some navigation. So home, about, academics, Pudgy Bunny, random stuff, again. So a couple things. So here we are, and you can see it's a list over here, right on the other side. So in order to make this a menu, so let's talk about this. What do I want to do? I want to, first of all, I'm going to wrap this whole shoot and match in something that makes it distinctive, that makes it navigation. Well, I'm going to create a div, and we should talk about divs and classes and spans too right now. And actually, I should use the HTML5 navigation. Is that a thing? But here's a navigation bar, so we can actually use this. But yes, so it is a nav. There is such a thing as a nav tag. So I'm going to do that. Instead of using a div, I'm going to use a nav as a tag. And again, this lets us play around with things like customizing the nav. So let's do a little indent. And so now I'm going to come back up here to my style. I'm going to say the nav tag is going to have 30 features. So first thing first, what is it, text decoration? I'm going to set to none. And that did nothing. So actually, I'm going to go back. List style, thank you. So here's kind of this list example right here. So list style, I'm going to set to none. Actually, let me see if I can zoom in. Accessibility, there we go. All right. So margin 0, padding 0. So this is all inside the UL. So this is tricky because you've got a lot of elements here, a lot of objects, right, that we're talking to. We've got the nav object, which is all of this. We've got the UL object, which is all of that. And then we've got these individual objects inside here. And then eventually what we're going to do, we're going to put some links on these too. So we're going to have some anchor objects as well. So when I say object, it's a tag, but it's a collection. Like I say, when I say it's an object, the whole nav chunk or collection of all of those tags makes up that object, right? So when I address the style sheets, I address the nav, I'm addressing all of the things that are inside that as well. So it's more than just a tag. It's when I'm saying I'm addressing that object. This becomes really important, like I say, when you start getting JavaScript and style sheets too. So what did I steal? What text did I steal there? It was list. No. What would you list? List style tag? There we go. It is. Nav is an actual HTML tag, and so it's an HTML5 tag. And it actually doesn't actually, you can't actually see it. It doesn't display on your page, but it defines an area of your page. And again, when you're using robots, you're using other code to pull code from different places. I can say, you know those squares I just showed you, the HTML squares that we did? If I were a good enough coder, I could say, you know what, I don't need the head, I don't need the nav, I just want the content of that, and I can grab this and that. So I'm going to say, actually, this is kind of cool.
Would you mind explaining how my nav is different from div?
Right. So let's talk about that. So div again is just defining. It doesn't. Both div and span don't do anything. They actually just define something. So I always think of it as a div is a box to put stuff in. You know, I just need to be able to wrap this chunk of code in, you know, a holder, in a style that I can go in and adjust and change all of that. So if I just say, like down here below the nav, if I just say div, and don't put anything in the middle, but I go up here and say div, and so I'm redefining the tag, so I don't need to do anything, right? And I'm going to make the background yellow and close that. If I come over here, it doesn't do anything because there's no content there. But if I start just defining size here, so I say, well, let's make it 200 pixels wide. Does that do anything? No. And I think that it's probably because it's actually empty. Right, so there's no height there because there's no content. But if I were to put in, say, an X, there it is. So, and look how high it is. Let's actually change that background yellow to. Look how high it is. I know, yeah. So let's put something in between. I want to talk about here, but so check this out. So how many of you guys did buy art? That was my job. That was my slam dunk career when I got out of college. I was like, I said, all right, this is made. I was on this $100,000 typesetting machine a year later than that. Yeah, that's right. And so you've got a cake, right? You've got upper, lower, plus and center, and you know, so you've got the whole width of the whole height of the font. Well, this div right now is the whole height of that font. And so if I were to change fonts, that box size would change some as well. Now the width is 200 pixels because I defined it. But I didn't define this height. So because I didn't, it just says, well, whatever's in there is in there. And I'm going to, you know, if I throw a return in here now, it'll be twice as high. Well, it's not a very good method of design, right? You guys are going to want to control over what you design and put in here. So let's force it. Let's say, you know what? Let's make it. Let's set a height of 200 pixels as well. See it? I'm going to force that box, that div, to be a certain height. So now I'm forcing it. So this is what we were doing on the square that we were playing with the other night. We can do things then, you know, with what's inside that. I could say text align, and I'll say center. And so now my X is in the middle, and there's tricks to kind of forcing that centering vertically. It's tougher to center it vertically, which is good. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's kind of a topic. But, so I've got some control. So that's a div. So span is going to do almost exactly the same thing, except no span. So I'm just going to talk the difference between span and nav right now. So let's come over here into the code and down here to the div, and then I went right next door. I'm going to do a span. And I'm going to do another, I'm going to do a Y. And close that. And so here it is. There's my Y. Look what happened. It's down below. And so it forced that return down, that hump down below. I can do the same thing with span. I can say, look, we did 200 and make the background free or whatever. And there it goes. Span it's called an inline block, an inline element. So sorry, not inline element. This is the block. Now I'll show you the difference. We're seeing the difference here. Block is going to force whatever comes after it down below. Now this is just the default settings. Remember we were talking about default style sheets in the browser? This is just the default. You can force it to do whatever you want. But by default, it's going to put it right here. So let's just take this and copy it. Hold on a second. Go ahead. It can. It's more. I think of it as more. It was grouping content. So it's kind of like a little basket. I'm putting stuff in, right? And so now I define this. I'm going to change this color to something different. So let's do a nice pink. You saw what I did there. I'm sorry. I was kind of quick. Back all the way up here. In Dreamweaver, as soon as you get the colon, you get all of these things, and I can just click on color and double click on color, and it gives me the color picker. And so I can do all of this, and pick a color. But what it's doing is it's actually picking a hex color. I'm going to have a whole nother talk about hex. I don't want to bore you already off the rails right now, but yeah, Code Academy. We'll talk about colors, and we can actually there's colors, but there's ways to represent color. We can just type in color. If it's an HTML color, I can just say white or green or blue, and you get a predefined green. You guys are designers. You want PMS colors, right? You want to be able to put PMS colors in there, or RGB or whatever, right? But for now, I'm just putting in text color, and then I got to hit semicolon, and I come over here and I put it in. What? So it didn't. Why didn't that work? So that's responding the way. That's funny. I honestly don't know why they didn't work.
Isn't it because span just does stuff to whatever's in the span tag? Like the Y is taking 200 pixels up.
Right. So when I say it's an inline element, I mean what I can do, and usually this is typically what it's used for, is if I'm typing. Let's try. Just practice my typing here. Come on, get down here. Do you know why this is important? Every letter of the alphabet, right? Is there a one-handed version of that? Yeah. Okay. So now all my clicking around made all of these extra paragraphs, which drives me crazy here. But so span is meant to go in line, right? That's why it's called an inline tag. And so I can say, put an L there. Where are you? So there you go. It's in line. But if that were div, it's going to force it to break. There are some other default block tags. Guess one right off. Yeah, but what's another one? Another block tag. Try that. Anyway, so paragraph, it forced it down to the next line, right? So I showed that. We type that time and then it's forced. There's a whole question of tags. What's the other one? UL, right? I don't know this. Those are always kind of up there, and you can't really put it in there. So, or the list. Go ahead.
If you want to make it
Well, if you're So if you put div in a paragraph, it's going to force a return there. So you don't want to do that unless they have a reason to do it. So there's a couple of other little tricks here. So one of the things that I can say is float, and this works with images and with stock. The width and the height setting is not working. I mean, that's not. But if I say float on this div, and I say float left, what it's going to do, and then also display, I'm going to say display in line. And so what I just did was I just changed that block element in line. So I just forced it in there. And if I come over here, look what it did. So now it's floating to the left of the image is to the left, or the block is to the left. So this part, you start playing with images in here. You want that text to start to wrap around, right? Instead of always having image and then tons of white space. So you want that element to be able to go. And it'll just, you might just, sort of a long paragraph, it would just wrap all the way down and then just jump over. So just very much like go ahead.
Does that mean anything that's outside the
Yeah, I know. This is really the quick brown fox. I've always had a question about this too. Is like the quick brown fox is right. It says it's. I guess what it means is the div actually floats to the left of the page. So then everything else to the right wraps around it. So I could say, let's have a look. Watch this.
Because I remember working with flows. I remember it.
Yeah, so I just did a float right. You saw what happened as soon as I did it. It was jumping back. And I can say none, and that goes back to changing. So now it's line element, and all the negative lip went away, and everything went down. Sure. Oh yeah, okay. Screen redraw. So float's a big one. Display, big one. Watch this. This is cool. If I can spell. None. It's gone. That element is no longer on the page. And the spacing is actually that it took up is gone as well. So it's literally that element of the page has disappeared. Where that gets really useful is with JavaScript. I can click on something and make something disappear. So many, very powerful. Click on the menu, and then you pop in and you make a slash, and then you could say, I select something, make it disappear again. So you can toggle it on and off by using JavaScript. So display none is a huge one. You guys will use that all the time. So there's a ton of this type of stuff. I don't want to go into all the details. Let's just kind of go back to the nav real quick and wrap that up what I was talking about. So again, the style type none. Did that work? No. I don't think it's list style type. I think it's list style something else. Let me try that again. Oh, we have a winner. You're right. Thank you. Bam. Yeah. Dude? Maybe. Yes, it does. Your syntax error. Okay. So I made the dots go away. Big deal, right? So let's add a little bit here. When I was just playing around with div, right? Display. This time I'm going to say inline block. And I think that's what I want. Let's just double check here. Oh, just inline. That didn't work either. Oh, you know what? What's the block element? The UL or the LI? UL. UL and the LI. UL is a whole chunk of everything, that whole object of all the comments. But then each list item is also a block because it stacks on top of each other. See, this is really tricky. This is, and I guess this is one of the hard things to learn is like, who do I talk to? What's it take to get some service around this place? You know, you make all these changes to UL, and it doesn't affect the list. Oh, we're affecting the list items. And so now I can just take this and go, bam, and take it down here. And there we go. And it'll wrap. It'll just keep going. And, you know, and if I were to shrink this page, this home again element would just eventually drop down to the next line. And again, you have to play around with it. There's ways to beat that so it doesn't wrap. But anyways, okay, fine. So menu, we started to get a menu, but let's try to make it look like a little more like a menu, right? So I'm going to just say, look, so let's put a background on each of these. And I'm just going to pick a color. Pretty. Great. Text, the fonts, sorry, the color. I'm going to make that white. Okay, cool. All right, hey, starting to get some buttons here. Awesome. But you know what? I want some space around them. I want them to look like buttons, not like little tiny backgrounds. So let's put some padding around it. Okay. And sometimes I have to click over here to get it to update. So now I've got a little bit of space. And if I like this, if I like the buttons being, you know, different sizes to match the text, okay, fine, I'm cool with that. Otherwise, I can actually force the width, right? I'm going to call it 100 pixels. It's probably too much. Padding is inside. Think of it as a padded room, right? Padding inside. The margin is what's out on the outside. So it's like pushing space outside the box. And so again, if we wanted these, I wanted these guys to be a little closer. So look, let's just get down to a 1 pixel background on these. I can actually say margin like 1 pixel. Where are you? There you go. And so it actually put a little bit more than 1 pixel. And so if I just actually said, what happened when I said -1? Did that help or did it break? Yeah, so I can't actually do negative numbers, and I pull these a little closer. I don't know why width isn't working. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I think that it has something to do with inline. Is it inline block now?
That's what padding is for.
There we go. So inline block actually gives me kind of a mix of some block element characteristics. Okay, let's you know, all right, let's center around. You get the idea. I don't want to, you know, bore you with too late. Okay, so now they're all centered. Okay, one more tricks you're going to love watching the video over and over again. One, so let's do what we should have done in the first place. Let's make these a link. And for now, I'm just going to use the hashtag. Hashtag is kind of like an empty link. Doesn't really do anything. But for the sake of, do you see a hand up over there? No. Okay, so let's just. So a couple things. You're going to be shocked and amazed right now. Prepare yourselves. Somebody's like, huh? Oh my God! My text all went blue. Flashies. The stupid style sheet for the browser screwed me over. What is this? The link, right? It's an anchor tag. And look where it is. If I go back to my style sheet, back to my code, look where it is in the order of things, right? It's inside the list item. Well, so the list item has a style associated with it, and everything that's inside that would normally have a style would behave that way, unless you will hide it. And I still read it, wrote it by putting it on the anchor tag. So what I have to do now is I have to go back and say, oh, no, I don't want to text. So we're going to come up here and say, do I want every link in the entire page to be this way, or just the ones in the menu? Just the ones in the menu, I think, for me. This would be my style. So, all right, so I fixed it. And if I roll over, you see it changes to a finger. And I can say text integration, none. And so now the underline went away. But here's the thing, what I just did, I just changed every link on the stinking page white. So now I come down here, my copy, I got a link down on the copy, and I can't see it because it's white text. So here's the next thing I'm going to show you. And this is a little advanced, but what I can do is I can actually define two styles or two elements, kind of like double jeopardy, I guess. So if I say li space, what I'm saying is it's got to be an anchor tag within a list item. So now, and actually just to show you what I'm talking about, come down here, and we'll make this a link. Yeah, because we'll be able to see it. Hashtag, and boom. Okay, so what do we get, white or, oh, sorry, that's hidden inside the div that has display none. So let's bring the display back. There it is. Be blue or white? Blue. Because my links up here are white. So I actually said, I actually can get more specific. And this is actually called a specificity point. So again, you don't have to know how to do this. You just need to know specificity points. And so you can keep doing that. You can have, and I can go down into the code and I can actually have multiple classes associated with it. So you can get really complex, and pages do get really complex about, okay, anyways, I'm not going to go any further than that. One last thing. This is bugging. This always bugs me. Okay, so you can see what happens when I roll over the random stuff. But I want this. I don't want this to be a button. I want this to be a button. You follow? So what I'm going to do is a couple of things. I can say, well, one thing, the easiest thing is I can say, you know what? Let's these guys down here. No, because yeah, and that would be sense, right? So you just say, well, all right, so let's just move the anchor tag out, and we pull this item becomes a link. You can do that, but I mean you can't do that only because unordered list, tag unordered list is expected to do this item right after. It's kind of like tables, right? If you do a table, it wants table row, table data. There's nothing goes in between those two, or they'll break. So. So I've got this. You notice what happened is my spacing went away. I wrote the spacing. And so actually I'm going to change this to margin, I think. It's going to change. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I can't remember how to fix this to make it bigger, but you can see what happens though as I roll over it. It gets bigger.
If not,
I think it's display. Actually, let me just see. Change the inline. Yeah, there we go. Has to be an inline block.
Could you do a button tag and make it all fancy with CSS, or is that?
No, you can. I mean, because you can just apply a class to it, and you make it fancy that way. So I can keep going here. I can say, do a gradient background, do a transparent background, put an image back there. Anything you can imagine with a button, and we can even do a Photoshop, believe it or not. I can do in style sheets right here, and that's what I'm trying to. The point I'm trying to make is you guys want to get away from. Your instinct will be, I want to just lay out the breath in Photoshop and then make these images. You don't have to. You can do them in style sheets. It's going to blow up bigger. It's going to be cleaner code, and it's a huge advantage for you to be able to do this. But now, looks like we got a little mix here of. Oh, because let's see here. List item UL list margin text align center width 100. Okay, I'm not seeing why the link is not right. Anyways, okay, last thing I promise. And again, this used to be a thing with JavaScript. You have to write a whole bunch of JavaScript. Win mouse over, do this. Now it's a : hover. And I can say, look, let's just change the color to like a gray, right? Awesome. So now, when I roll over, you see it? I don't even see it from here. So you can do drop shadows. You can do emboss. You can do deboss. You can do, underline. It would make sense to say, okay, well, when I roll over this, let's do. Underline, cool. Sure, totally. Yeah, you can. I mean, like I say, this is where you can really start to go.
Just make the things in now. You can see a simple message class. You can see straight math outline.
Yep. Right, and so I can just say, I'm doing it like here, but yeah, I mean, really, this is the reason you graph things in the nav tag is so you can say, no, look, we're just talking navigation here. That's it. So I can say nav, and it's not going to change anything in here. Nothing changed because but I can say nav here, and I can say nav here. So it's just, all I'm saying is, hey, when you're inside the nav tag and you've got a UL tag, so you got some control. And of course, you can do this with classes and IDs as well. So there we go. We're gonna roll over. But yeah, you can imagine there's, like I said, there's tons of really cool gradients. There's tons of, you can round corners. You can do drop shadows. You can do what else can you do? Transparency, so you can actually make the whole thing transparent. I'm going to stop there. Okay, so what do you think? Any questions? So I've given you some skills about navigation and about divs. What the goal here is over the next bit, I'd like you guys to just add some more style because to your home, your bio page, your nav page, you've only got 2 links, right? You've got home and portfolio. But I want you to go nuts with those buttons. And if you Google CSS buttons, you're going to be inundated with tons of code. You're welcome to go and play around with button generators and let them generate the CSS for you and do some WYSIWYG stuff and grab that code. Try to read it. Try to look at the code and understand it. But this is, and I'm trying to give you guys, I want to give you guys a little freedom here because you're designers, and this is really your chance to go, okay, I've been learning all this code. I'm a designer. Let's see if we can start to bring these things a little closer together because, you know, otherwise you'd have to sit through 50 minutes of me droning on about CSS. So, okay, so I'm going to stop there. I'll talk about assignments. Where are you? Stop. I'm going to stop share before I stop recording.